Yeah.
But I was also surprised that more people didn't suggest that maybe he wasn't grabbing for her hand, and that's why she slapped it away.
Right.
I mean, when you're president, you can do that.
Well, he's definitely said that's his,
Right.
That's
his
good
MO.
at that. Yeah. Very, very good. Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. Yeah, and that's just to sort of backtrack on the jacket thing a little bit. Like, I hate, after spending 8 years under Obama and complaining about Republicans talking about the most ridiculous things and finding little nitpicky things, about, Michelle Obama wore a sleeveless, Obama wore a tan suit. Those are things that, trivial.
Yeah.
I think where this comes into play, though, and why I feel justified, talking about this and not hypocritical in the least, is because of the price tag on the jacket combined with the aesthetic. Like, this is, you are, as First Lady, you are representing America. And, was this jacket an attempt to make Kellyanne Conway's inaugural Paddington Bear outfit look good? Like, what the?
I was going to say hot dog on a stick. Kellyanne Conway really had that.
Yeah. It's just missing the hat.
Right.
Right.
I feel like the thing that we're all just sort of seeking is consistency. And, I mean, I distinctly remember when Fox News guests would talk about the cost of Michelle Obama, the cost of the a ball that they threw, or the cost of some outfit she was wearing, and it's just such hypocrisy.
That's it. That's right.
We see it there. We see it. I mean, what's so crazy to me is that Trump specifically called out Obama's golfing trips.
Yes.
That's
right.
Like, no, you cannot do that and then go spend every weekend golfing.
Right. Or have your wife, the First Lady of the United States, not being in the White House and being in, being in, and having that kind of security detail. I mean, it is absolute hypocrisy. It's along the lines of Louis XIV. I mean, it's crazy. So I agree. I mean, this isn't you're not, yes, okay, is it an ugly jacket? I mean, it's a matter of taste. I wouldn't wear it if you had given it to me. But the truth is, that's not what this is about. That's not what you're calling out. It's the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah.
Although it is an ugly jacket. It's the kind of jacket that you could see a homeless person at Goodwill going, no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It's astounding. And I mean, I think, the hypocrisy is getting called out. I just think that the Trump supporters, the hardcore, are just, they won't have it. Mm-hmm. They will not have it. And that is a disconnect that will never be rectified.
Right.
I think those people, there's just something else in play there on an emotional, mental, personality, psychological level that's never going to. But I think the more we call it out, I think the better. Whether it does any good, I don't know. But let's just, it's like, I was just listening to Chuck D, who's Public Enemy. Don't believe the hype. I mean, that's what we're starting to do less of, I think. I don't know. Are we? I hope. I'm trying to see the bright side in all of this.
Yeah, no. I mean,
optimistic. That's good.
You got to look for the little, glimmers of hope, the veins of gold. But it's funny that you bring up Chuck D, because aging myself a bit, I remember the early days of Public Enemy.
Yeah, me too.
But do you remember one of Chuck D's probably most famous quotes outside of the hip hop community? From back then was when talking about hip hop culture and rap music, Chuck D said that hip hop is the CNN for black people. And I think it is as it was then, which really says a lot about the decline of both CNN and hip hop.
Yeah.
Because it's, and granted, it is not my main music of choice. There's stuff that I like, but it seems like these days, and now I'm the child hating grumpy old man talking about these kids and their music. But you used to have more political
True
hip hop artists. You had Public Enemy. It was the CNN of black culture when CNN was an important, legitimate news outlet. Now it's like CNN, just going for the ratings.
yeah.
And I think I agree. Though I'd also say, in fairness, that's also true for rock.
True.
Rock was
No doubt.
super, super political at its best. The 60s and even, up through the 80s.
Yep.
And then something happened, and now...
Well, and a little bit into the 90s, but this past week, as LA had a flashback to the 80s and 90s, U2 played at the Rose Bowl, and Midnight Oil played at the Wiltern, two bands that, throughout their history have been known for their political activism. And the frightening thing about Midnight Oil is that pretty much all of the issues that they sang about, in the late 80s and early 90s are still the big issues today. Yeah. Nothing has been done, or very little.
Rap.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen to De La Soul's, The Stakes is High. I mean, it's the same thing, that's happening now. So, I mean, when was that written? Like in the 90s? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, this is depressing.
Yeah. This is the most depressing podcast. No, I'm not kidding.
It's the worst.
Low
rated.
The worst.
Low rated. Disregarded. No, disregarded is too big of a word. It's not one of the best words for Trump.
Right. It's a loser.
Well, so do you guys think that we, because it seems that movies have really sort of picked up the slack in terms of, the politics. There's this weekend, the new Brad Pitt movie, War Machine, premiered on Netflix. But it seems like the movies play both sides of the political extremes. You get, what was it, American Sniper? Mm-hmm. To pacify the folks on the right who, need to give their money to the Jews who run Hollywood, decide to leave the family when no good wrestling's on or whatever gets them out of the house.
Have you seen American Sniper?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Have you seen it?
No.
It's really most remarkable for this scene with a baby. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
No.
There's a baby in this one scene back home, and it's the fakest baby, hilariously fake. It's a doll that he's cradling, and you're just wondering, did Clint Eastwood was he not watching the monitor? It's anyway. Sorry for that diversion, but
maybe Clint Eastwood was reprising his role from his previous film where he played a blind baseball scout. That was Clint Eastwood, right?
Was that the Trouble with the Curve?
Yeah,
that was the premise of that. He was.
I
blind?
Believe so.
Wow.
He was blind, and his daughter was basically his eyes. I think. Yeah, I didn't see that
Terrible.
either, but I read all about it.
Anyway,
but
sorry, but you were saying that's one end of the spectrum, and on the other end, I assume you were going to say
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible, certainly my favorite so far this year. But I think what it did, and the reason why it's such a powerhouse, is it wrapped all these social issues in. It wasn't beating you over the head.
It never became a message movie.
Yeah.
That's I have a constant I wouldn't call it an argument. It's become an understanding. But my best friend, writing partner in comedy, Jeremy Levy, has for years tried to get me into Spike Lee films, and she's got to have it good, But it's so preachy. It's it couldn't hit you over the head with the message more if Spike Lee was in the theater with the message on a signboard hitting people with it. But that's one of the things that I loved about Get Out was that, there are so many messages in there, but it's not a message movie.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
It succeeds.
Side note, Spike Lee has actually become a really great documentary filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen any. He just did a Michael Jackson documentary that was absolutely like amazing. One of my favorite music documentaries.
Good to know.
Yes, so check that out.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'm not writing him off.
But I
for
hear
documentaries, I think he's got a great eye. I would definitely be interested in seeing his documentaries. But
I hear you. He's not.
That's
in his...
it. Well, and God, this is going to sound like I'm railing on just black performers, but like, it's kind of what got me out of enjoying Whoopi Goldberg's stand-up. Where it was more, one woman show performance piece where she was doing characters, but after a while, like, I felt like there was a definite arc to each character performance in one of her shows, where like funny, deep, funny message. It's like, if people want to just listen to funny people delivering messages, well, they can listen to podcasts like this one. There's some funny in there, but hey, but yeah, it's like, I don't go to a comedy show to be preached at. If it happens and it works within the realm, great. Bill Hicks, prime example,
Sure.
Preacher, comedian, blended both and talked about mushrooms and anal sex. So really hit all the hot buttons there, so to speak.
Gallagher, just really.
He hit more produce than hot buttons.
Yes, exactly.
But I guess sort of wrapping up the topic, do you think, because obviously we are three comedians who work in the world of politics, do you think this is a sign? Are we going to see under the Trump administration, under the Republican rule, are we going to see more political music? You guys, we've been talking about how optimistic we are.
I don't see that happening. What's his name? Did some interview recently where he was charting the ebb and flow of the great like kind of rock eras, and he's like, right now we are in a pop era. We need these things to placate us. We can't deal with heavy messages. Aside from a couple exceptions in music, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I don't know. I don't see anything changing, but I mean, that would be great. I'm just not feeling it in the zeitgeist right now. Is that the right use of zeitgeist?
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Jess, your thoughts?
I kind of agree. I mean, I think sadly in this country, and certainly in Hollywood, there has been this rhetoric around being too political, and being too vocal around political and social issues. I think it's kind of started with the Red Scare, here. So as long as music is as corporatized as it is, there's just too much at stake to have artists talking about what's going on. I don't know. I'm not very hopeful. Maybe independently, like with movies, and but certainly not the corporatized pop music. I mean, sorry, I wouldn't even call. This is me dating myself. I use music in air quotes. I mean, I can't even listen to that shit. Sorry, it's like, oh my God, But yeah, I don't know. I'm not that hopeful.
Well, on that optimistic note, let's call it another week. Anything you'd like to plug?
No, I guess my Twitter, Mr. Josh Greenberg, or you can find me on Facebook.
Check him out. Make some great memes and some great points. Thank you for being on the show. Anything?
I have a web series. It's called Knocking on Doors, based on my real life experience working as a social science researcher, knocking on doors of strangers around the country. And it's Knocking on Doors on YouTube, www.knocking-on-doors.com. I forgot about it. And then I'm on Twitter, Jessica Abrams 3, I think. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for coming in. I am Dr. David Robinson. You can follow me at Stand Up Fall Down on the Twitter. You can follow the show on Facebook at Let's Be Treasonable.